So thank you everyone for joining us. We are excited to talk about smarter hotel marketing strategies for the rest of 2025. And before we get started, please note that today's session is being recorded and you will receive a copy directly to your inbox shortly afterwards. If you have any questions during the webinar, please utilize the QA feature and we will answer questions at the end. If we are unable to get to your question, we will reply directly to you via email after the webinar. Now to go ahead and introduce our speakers. First, we have Christina Lemmy, Senior Director. Yes, we have Christina Lemmy, Senior Director of Global Media, who oversees all media planning, buying, and ad ops teams at Sundyne. And we have Sebastian Pepe from Google with us today. Sebastian is team lead for travel and education for Italy at Google Ireland. All right, let's get started. Over to you, Sebastian and Christina.
Thank you, Laura. Welcome, everybody. So without further ado, to make it like the most digestible and quick as possible, we are going to kick off by reviewing the agenda. So what we're going to overview today is we're going to kick off with the insights and trends that we see in the past 90 days and what we can expect from May and onwards. Then we're going to move to Christina explaining how and which are the key tips and tactics to navigate through uncertainty. And we are going to end on how to maximize your ROI by leveraging Google AI's new features. And later on, we will leave some time for the Q&A, as Laura was mentioning. So let's move forward to the insights and trends. As Laura was mentioning, you will have the recording in the end. So if you miss anything, you can review it later on. So let's kick off with the travel demand. So here we're talking all travel, not just accommodation. So what we have seen is that the vertical has remained relatively consistent over the past 90 days. And this is a trend that we have been seeing since the beginning of the year. During May, what we are seeing is that the demand in the travel vertical has demonstrated an increase month over month of 9.5%. And this is basically aligned with what we're seeing in the trend at the worldwide level. So during May, we can see the same behaviors as we saw in May of 2024, which North America still dominates as a destination area. Nothing has changed, with the United States and India as the top countries in terms of travel interest. And London, New York, and Paris continue to be the most popular destinations globally. So even though we are at uncertain times right now with the current situation in the United States, for an example, we are seeing that there's still demand for that particular, let's say, destination, country, and cities. Now, if we move to the accommodation market in particular, same thing. We're seeing that the travel vertical has remained very consistent in the past 90 days. We see a peak on March 10, and we see a few fluctuations during April, which is aligned with the late Easter holidays around the world. But what we're seeing is that demand, it's increasing towards May due to observed patterns and seasonal expectations that we are usually seeing in the summer in past years. If we look at particularly at May, same thing as we saw above with the travel demand, we're seeing an increased growth compared to the previous month, slower in this part compared to what we see at the general level with a 5.82%. Now, if we see what has happened in the past, so for an example, what we're seeing here is the different peaks during the summer from 2023 and 2024, we can expect that from what we were seeing before, since the beginning of May, there is a trend that it's starting to kick off the demand on the accommodation market in particular. So be ready to capture all this demand since we are starting the peak of our, let's say, seasonality. Now, if we deep dive on which are the top markets or areas in terms of demand, as we were seeing before, also for the travel vertical in general, in accommodation, it's pretty similar. North America, it's the one that is exhibiting the highest level in terms of accommodation interest. Then we can see Southern and Western Europe as the second and third. And then we see Eastern Asia also growing interest in this particular, let's say, terms of demand. And we will deep dive a little bit further on this. The top demand by destination country, same as we saw in the travel vertical, but now in the accommodation one during April and May, we see that the United States is still the clear leader. We see Japan trending and India in third place. Beyond those top three, we see significant demand that it's maintained over the past year, which is always Italy, Spain, and France in the top 10 markets, including the United Kingdom and Germany. We can see also Brazil and Australia starting to kick off in terms of demand in this part. Now, if we see at the city level, we see that Tokyo is the one most sought after. Closely, we can see London and Las Vegas, which are indicating very strong demand on those two cities. If we compare it with 2024, we can see that Tokyo, Osaka, and Bangkok significantly gained spots, entering the top 10 in 2025. Tokyo claimed the first spot from London, if we compare it with 2024, and we can see conversely that New Delhi, Los Angeles, and Istanbul drop out of the top 10, indicating a notable shift in demand toward Asian markets, as we were saying before. Now, in terms of top growth, which destination areas are growing in terms of demand? We can see North Africa and Central Asia are the ones that are leading with a strong growth. And then we see all the other regions with a stable, flat performance overall. Now, looking in terms of top growth, but a destination country during May and April, we can see that Turkey is the standout leading country in terms of growth. And then we see a substantial number of other countries in Asia, or including Indonesia, Malaysia. And then we see Greece, Israel, Morocco, and Croatia, who also have gained interest in terms of growth. In contrast, we see Japan, India, and Italy overall with a more stable and flat growth. So, which are the key takeaways that we need to take away from all these insights? The demand for travel and accommodation is resilient and growing, even though with the current situation, with accommodation showing anticipated historical peak patterns. So be ready for summer. Second, established destinations maintain popularity. We saw that the United States still in there, and major cities such as London and Tokyo are trending, while high growth is occurring in regions like Northern Africa and Central Asia. Third point, strategic planning should account for these market nuances, leveraging insights from Google Destination Insights to be ready for the shifts in demand. I mentioned this last point regarding Google Destination Insights because all the information that you just saw, it's available for you all in Google Destination Insights if you look at it in Google, and you can play with the different, let's say, filters to understand if there is domestic interest, international interest in the different markets or regions where your hotels are located. So leaving the floor to Christina now.
Thank you. All right, jumping in. Okay. So as we move further into the year, it's essential to prepare for some of the potential headwinds in the market, while also focusing on some of these strategies that have, led to success so far. So our approach that we're going to walk you through continues to focus on growing market share, making data-driven decisions, right? Making decisions based on the full picture and what the data is saying rather than, what may feel like a gut reaction. And then shifting and focusing your budgets towards those higher performing segments, markets, and channels. So jumping into the next slide. I'm going to focus on this one a little bit, right? So prioritize profitable growth and not blanket cuts. So, we've seen this in past times of economic uncertainty. Hotels that continue to market strategically bounced back with higher RevPAR and stronger pipelines, following these periods, right? So saving money too quickly can actually result in bigger losses later on. And it's a bit of a domino effect that's hard to come back from. So instead, build flexible budget models based on KPIs. So what we're looking at is cost of sale percentage, combined return on ad spend, and overall direct property revenue, so that we're making the most profitable decisions while amplifying cash flow. And on that note, really focus on reducing reliance on costly intermediaries. So moving on to the next slide. So optimize for impact, not just return on ad spend, right? This is incredibly important. We want to focus not just on ensuring we're making profitable decisions, but we're also enabling growth, right? That means growth in terms of direct revenue and bookings. So rather than cutting back budget, make sure that you're eliminating inefficient spending, right? Reinvesting inefficient spending in some of these high growth areas. This should be an ongoing, regular practice as your media is running. And then don't look at your data in a silo, right? So like understand your holistic media contribution before making decisions. So what does that mean, right? So you're looking at your SEM campaigns, right? SEM and meta search, right? They're most likely driving some of the highest returns on ad spend, especially when you compare it to social or display. But if social and display are driving the bulk of your search volume and your intent, cutting either of those channels is ultimately going to hurt your SEM campaigns and your growth longer term, right? So it's incredibly important to continue to build your funnel and to keep fueling your your full funnel growth through a holistic media strategy. So investing in the right audiences powered by the right data. So know who's booking and why. Understanding who's still booking and why is critical, especially when every dollar counts, right? So user behavior can change during times of economic uncertainty. Who your high value audience once was may not be the same persona that it is now, right? So understand who your audience is now and where they go, what resonates with them, right? So you know who you're speaking to and you can adjust accordingly. And then ensuring that you have clean and rich CRM and CDP data so that you can better segment and personalize and optimize your outreach. Maximizing value from your best segments. So that means leaning into who your best guest is, who your new or potentially new best audience, high value audience is. So ensure that you're making it easy for those users to book, right? So improve your user experience, minimize barriers to convert, ensure that your offer strategy aligns with what these different personas are looking for, right? So you might see an uptick in last minute bookers, right? So do you have offer strategies that are potentially compelling for them? Do you have messaging that would resonate with them? And then in terms of, granularity, right? Don't be afraid to get granular in your targeting. You can use bid modifiers, especially on search and meta search. Adjust your bids on things like location, device. The idea is spending more where your ads are performing the best, right? So when you're seeing the highest conversion volume, the highest return, and some of the most cost-effective cost of sale, and drop your bids where they're not performing as well, right? Like you can see, you shouldn't be bidding the same on desktop as you are on mobile, right? The CPCs are cheaper on mobile, so make sure that you're bidding accordingly. And then moving into the last core pillar here, right? So, as a parting thought, the hotels that we've seen historically perform the best, during times of economic uncertainty, right? I think back to during the pandemic, were those hotels that were flexible and ready to act on timely opportunities without internal bottlenecks or with minimal bottlenecks, right? So consumer behavior is fluid. And so your marketing approach needs to be too. Be agile, meaning you're ready to respond, not react. So ensure that your structure is set up that way, right? So, I think about the Taylor Swift effect, right? Where we saw such a pickup with when her concerts were in whichever city that they were, right? Like be ready to launch new a new search campaign with some good non-brand keywords and messaging that's going to align with places to stay near X concert venue, right? So be nimble so that you don't miss out on opportunities, right? The opportunities like this are some of the areas in which you can find some really cost-effective opportunities and areas to market. You want to make sure that you're not missing out on effectively activating them. So that's it. Back over to Sebastian.
Thank you, Christina. So to close the webinar, we're going to review on maximizing your ROI by leveraging Google's AI. So before we kick off, we wanted to start by explaining that search is changing. Probably many of you saw it at Google Marketing Live. You're seeing that there was a launch last year in the US of AI Overviews, which is now available in many markets over the world, which is providing a snippet and links of different results when the users are doing a more complex, let's say, search in general. And then people are looking for other things instead of just using text, right? So they are taking a video to find out about the product, the destination, or an image, even though to find something in particular. So the way people is looking for stuff, it's changing overall. It's not now just queries. We are seeing people that are asking more complex questions. So we're getting many searches in just one, let's say, single query. And what users are doing is that are searching beyond words. What we are seeing is a behavior of this multi-search, multimodal way of looking for things. For an example, we already have seen data that in the past months, there have been more than 20 billion visual searches overall. So this could be, as I was saying before, for a particular product, but even for a destination in particular, or for an hotel or a property that we have. So people are looking for information in different ways that they were used to do as before. And with that, we have introduced different AI tools that will help make your business more helpful to achieve those queries that are becoming more complex. And with that, our idea is to help you not to think in an AI strategy, but to use AI to run your strategy with our Power Pack that will help you maximize ROI. So many of you have already heard about these different, let's say, solutions, but we made some updates in the past months that we recently launched at Google Marketing Live. So with this Power Pack, you will be ready for this new era of search and these multimodal experiences. And this Power Pack basically is composed by Performance Max, AI Max for Search, which is a new product that we just launched a few weeks ago, and Demand Gen. Now let's dive a little bit on each one of those. So Performance Max, probably many of you already know it, but we launched more than 90 quality improvements in Performance Max in the past year, which have shown increase either in conversions or in conversion value. And now, just in the past few weeks, we've given more visibility and control to advertisers. We just launched the channel reporting beta, which can provide you visibility on which of the different channels in the inventory and the paths that the user is taking for completing the booking. Now we are giving you that visibility where you can see if Gmail or if Discovery or if YouTube or if even search, what we are not covering with our search campaign, it's arriving from PMax campaigns. So now you have all that split to understand which are the channels that are performing better. AI Max, basically this is a new feature with just one click to your actual live campaigns of search. It will provide you a supercharge that will help you create creative enhancements based on the particular search that the user is doing. Remember, they are becoming more complex. They are using images, they're using video. And with this, we can provide more control so we can target those particular searches or images or multimodal ways of searching and giving you the transparency that you need. So basically, with one click, you will need not to do anything in terms of providing a keyword, for an example, to target, neither creatives, and you just need to input a target and your final URL. And basically, AI Max will help you achieve and find all those valuable users that you're looking for. And finally, with Demand Gen, you can create and capture demand on our most visual surface. So basically, probably you've seen this product. It runs on YouTube, it's on Shorts, Discovery, Gmail, and in the Google Display Network. What is new on this feature is that we are launching the Demand Gen with travel feeds. So basically, all hotels that have a travel feed will be able to attach their Hotel Center account to this particular campaign and start promoting the different properties. So what I want you to take away today about how search is changing. Today's customer journeys are dynamic. They are not linear. And probably you have seen it and already used AI in many ways. So we need to be aware where your customers are in real time and how we can achieve the best return. AI is changing and we're giving superpowers to search. So we can anticipate the user needs, transforming their curiosity into discovery and confident decisions to unlock more opportunities for meaningful customer connections. And then the best AI for your best ROI. Don't just run better ads, run better business. Leverage the benefits of AI, Max, PMax, and Demand Gen with all the recommendations that we shared with Cristina about target ROAS and all those things. You can leverage the best performance by having all this mix of products. Thank you so much. And now, if you have any questions, we will leave 9 minutes for the Q&A.
Thank you, Cristina and Sebastian. So some questions have come through. And a reminder, if we don't get to your questions, we will follow up via email to get you additional resources. So the first one that I saw come through was about Las Vegas. It was listed third for demand by city. I know some of us have heard that, demand in Las Vegas has maybe dipped in the recent months. So what should Las Vegas hotels be doing to capitalize on this interest?
Probably leverage one of those tools and be ready to capture demand. So that's what, as I was mentioning and I was showing in the insights part, right? Let's use these insights that are free in this tool called Destination Insights, where we can actually understand the behavior of the users. And if we see demand, we can actually promote certain look of promotions or ways to communicate to engage with the users. We understand that probably Las Vegas and probably Cristina, who is there in the United States with Laura, are more aware in the market and how they are behaving. But even though if we are not seeing bookings, there's an interest on the market. So we need to find ways to capture it. I don't know, Cristina, if you want to chime in.
Yeah, so I was going to expand on that. So I think, understand where those users are coming from, right? So like understand, has that market shifted? Are they coming from different areas? Are there more, is there more demand in region, drive market, right? So like understand where it's coming from and who that audience is. And then, ensure that you have, the right messaging and offer strategy in place that's going to resonate with them, right? So if you're seeing a pickup in, last minute potential bookers, right? Like you might have people searching for Las Vegas. Maybe they're looking for like a last minute like offer, right? And they're in between a few different destinations. They're going to land on the one that has the most compelling offer potentially, right? So just understand who it is, where they're coming from, because that your regular persona or audience may have changed. So make sure you know who they are so that you can market towards them.
Okay, thank you. So another one that has come through, and a reminder, you can continue to submit questions. Has the booking window been affected by uncertainty?
So what we have seen internally in Google is that the booking window is still way ahead. So people are still booking way ahead of time. So people are preparing, and more on these uncertain times. You want to book in very in advance, right? To have like the best prices and to plan everything. So we are still seeing this booking window to be, let's say, long. But as Cristina was just mentioning, there's still a trend on last minute travel. Also, use Destination Insights to find out if people are more interested domestically to travel to that particular destination, or if it's an international demand, for an example. So you can actually work on different strategies. So domestically, it's one, internationally, it's another one. So you can play, but in the end, that's what we're seeing, Laura, in general.
Okay, great. I think this was kind of covered, but maybe if you could just re-summarize as kind of a nice takeaway for people, but what are the repercussions of cutting back?
I'll take that one. So I think, again, it's not just the immediate effect, right? It's the long-term effect, right? So, losing, um, market visibility and brand share of voice, it's something that's hard to come back from down the line, right? So I think I said something along the lines of, right, like some minor savings right now can lead to much higher costs down the line, right? So ensuring that you're continuing to think about your growth and ensuring that you're maintaining share of voice, presence in the market is incredibly important because again, some major reductions in marketing, especially, right now, I think it could really hinder and make it incredibly hard to claw back from longer term.
Yes, makes sense. All right, well, that's it for the questions that have come through. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And thank you again, Christina and Sebastian. This has been very insightful.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great rest of your day.
Bye bye, everyone.